Welcome back, friends. I hope you're all well. Today we're going to be checking out an interview with Todd Howard on the Elder Scrolls Skyrim and also the Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5 and Starfield. This interview was done by IGN and I thought it would be very interesting. We come and just live stream it and take a look at it together with the chat and you guys just reacting to it live. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts in the comments there, and we're going to jump in right now, and it's going to be like an hour long. And also guys, this video is sponsored by G Fuel, so if you want to grab some sugar-free energy drink, the link is in the description below. I'm actually on brand today. I'm drinking Bethesda's own G Fuel Spicy Demonade. It actually has like chili in it, so it's a spicy Doom themed energy drink. I recommend it. Otherwise, they've got tons of other flavors you can find. Link in the description. Use code ESO for 30% off. All right, let us begin.
Hey everybody, Ryan McCaffrey with IGN. This is IGN Unfiltered, my monthly or so interview series where I have the privilege of sitting down with the best, brightest, most interesting minds in the games industry. Today is a first. It's the second appearance on IGN Unfiltered for anybody. Todd Howard, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you again.
Again, yes. A lot has happened in the world. A lot has happened. We're in a new studio of yours, so we're here at Bethesda, here in lovely Rockville, Maryland, and appreciate you having us to talk about primarily the 10th anniversary of all this, of Skyrim.
It's kind of surreal,
yes.
Right? That we're talking about a game we made 10 years ago still. So, I mean, for me and everybody here, it's still like, you know, we can't believe it either.
It's getting released again. Again, that's the running gag, but you know, people keep playing it, people keep loving it, and that's I want to start is just kind of, you know, how do you feel about Skyrim in hindsight? It's because a lot of developers that I talk to, they tend to, like, after something comes out, like we, the media and the fans might think this is great, we love it, but a lot of developers, as seems to be their nature, seem to, at least initially, only be able to see the flaws. Like, oh, well, there's this thing and there's this thing. But now, with 10 years of hindsight, I'm kind of curious how you feel about that game in general.
Look, we love it. We always loved it. When you're making a game, you know, for us, it takes 4 or 5 years, sometimes a little longer. You get kind of, I don't want to say sick of it. You get numb to what's good about it because you're dealing with getting it working and trying to make it as good as you can.
Right.
And then when you get some space away from it, you can really embrace it for what it is. And we just feel incredibly kind of blessed to still have it in our lives. Yeah. And it's taken on this, you know, other life with the community. And, you know,
that is true. I mean, I think one of the main reasons Skyrim is still going is because of the modding community. I mean, we've made this game look incredible through all the advancements in texture technology and all the quest mods and standalone mods based in the Skyrim engine. I mean, the community has made this Elder Scrolls franchise of game of Skyrim go way beyond just the original game itself. So big shout out to the modding community for that. I mean, they've kept me going for 10 years of content.
Obviously, we're still doing some things with it, but it's this blessing that we have. And you know, we were talking in the studio the other day and what it means to all of us. And there's people, obviously, there are a lot of people here who made that game. And then there are another group that worked on various different versions of it. But then the new people that have come on in the last few years, it's one of the reasons they wanted to join us.
Yeah.
And now they're a part of Bethesda. And so I think it will really be a part of us kind of forever, and it's something that we really, really feel blessed about, and it's incredibly special to still have it be a thing played by millions and millions of people every month. Still,
it's nice to hear him acknowledge the community, though, guys. I mean, you know, like he knows how lucky they are. I feel like, which is cool to see.
One of our top sellers, and it's kind of hard to believe.
I mean, the Elder Scrolls is always
I mean, it is a top seller, but I mean, it's the most released game. They keep releasing it, and it keeps selling. Unsurprisingly, it's a fantastic game. But yeah, like obviously, it's going to be the best-selling game if you keep releasing it over the years. I'm sure the same would be true for Fallout as well if it was repeatedly released.
One has been very well liked. They've been extremely successful, and Oblivion was itself this huge leap over Morrowind, certainly in the technology side of things, being an early launch window title for the 360 alongside its PC release. So, when you're trying to go from that and level up again with Skyrim, is that as you look back, was that kind of a daunting thing, or is it just sort of, do you even really think about it in terms of, do you think about Oblivion at all, the game before when you're doing Skyrim?
Oblivion we were making that as they were making the Xbox 360. So the technology jump was very extreme. It's a very difficult project.
I just want to say, I did a video previously, it didn't get many views, but it was about they did an E3 for Oblivion, and it was kind of like all the stuff they had planned for the game, and the scope of what they had planned with the AI and it reacting to everyone was incredibly cool, but no one really remembers it or knows about it. So I recommend going back and watch that video, the old Oblivion E3.
And then we kind of overlap a little bit, and we went into Fallout 3. And so you talked about how we feel about the previous game. For us, it's always the previous game. We're usually going from a Fallout into a Fallout between Elder Scrolls.
Well, now you do. Didn't used to be the case. Yeah.
Right. So we went from Oblivion into Fallout 3 and then Fallout 3 into Skyrim.
Right.
But we're on the tail end of kind of that technology window with the 360. And the 360 was kind of our lead platform for Skyrim. But by then, we had this tech base that was very, very solid, where we felt, okay, we can really push it now. We're not starting from zero.
Right.
And I think Skyrim really benefits from that when you go back to 2011 and see it on the 360. And obviously, we always done PC stuff. But that really gave us a foothold to really push some things in what we wanted to do with the game.
Massive RPGs now, they're as in as ever, but you guys were certainly a bit ahead of the curve on that one.
I will say, big open world, massive RPGs, right, is something Bethesda does really well. But other open world RPGs that I play, they just don't get it. I feel like I'm in a massive sandbox with really nothing to do. And the world feels empty and lifeless and not made with love. Whereas I go back to Skyrim and it reminds me, like, every time I see in the distance the way the game's designed, there's like something that says, oh, there's a tower over there, I want to go and explore that. And then you get to a town and there's a quest there, and there's always something more it's adding to your experience for you to explore. And I think no other game really does that as well as the Elder Scrolls games. And I know it's like even built in with the design. Other games are just these, hey, we want big open world games, I want them to be as big as possible, and then you kind of end up with, like, a very lackluster but huge open world. So that's one thing I really like about Bethesda Game Studios.
For a while. But Skyrim really, in all seriousness, is arguably a big reason why these massive role-playing games are as in as they are. Like, do you think about Skyrim's influence at all, or is that just not something that you allow into your head?
I don't. Once in a while, I'll play a game and I'll see something that is a little bit clearer in terms of, okay, that's how we did that. Or a series that, and it can be something minor. I have a pet peeve in games, and everyone here knows, I don't like mini maps on the screen.
Distracting.
So a weird thing where I saw people going to the rose line style compass at the top.
Yeah.
So something like that you see. I like to play games with mini maps. I just don't like the mini maps because I'm playing the mini map when I.
Oh yeah, I literally was about to say that. Like when you play a game with a mini map, you see the resources on it and stuff. You literally are just like looking at the mini map, being like, oh yeah, I need to go over there, instead of looking at the actual screen. So I kind of agree with that.
Play a game, I stare at it and I drive around. But there are other things too with skill systems or certain flows that you can see in other games. But look, that's one of the things that we enjoy. So I don't dwell on it too much, just once in a while.
Kind of, again, with this benefit of 10 years of hindsight, and you're thinking about it with this anniversary looming, what do you think the team really got right with Skyrim? Sort of what are its biggest strengths?
I think the tone of the game is really, really strong. There's a lot of fantasy out there, and it's hard to sort of you see it and you go, oh, that's Skyrim. So we got that right. The other thing is that no matter who you are, if you like video games and you want to spend a lot of time with one, there's something for you in it. There's a million ways to play it, and the game really lets you express yourself in it. And I think that's actually, I think it's what's great about video games.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can say I think Skyrim does that really well, but I think that's what video games do really well, and the ones that we really enjoy and that we try to make, that there's a space that the creators have made, and then when you come into it, you're making it better. You're giving yourself to it. And then when you put it down, you have different emotions than you do when you're playing a game where a creator kind of drags you along.
Yeah.
That you feel something about yourself. You think about it when you go to bed. You come back into it. When you accomplish something, you feel like, look what I did today. And that's a real emotion. And I think that's what makes it so powerful.
So how about conversely? What do you think? Was there anything that the team really got wrong, or that you still kind of look back and go,
There are a number of parts of it where we don't go deep enough, where it's a veneer in terms of its interactivity.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in the E3 that they had initially planned for the woodcutters and stuff to be like ongoing economy. So say, for example, if you chop loads of wood in one place, sold that wood there, then the price of wood would go down and people wouldn't buy it for as much money. And then if you went to somewhere where, there wasn't, a gold mine, for example, and sold your gold ore there, it would sell for a higher price. So they had this whole economy system, but it never actually made it to the final game, but they talked about it in the E3. So when they say we didn't go deep enough into some aspects, I'm really excited for the Elder Scrolls 6, and I really hope that they go really deep into some of the stuff that they spoke about previously, but it's just very surface level.
Look, you can say that about anything, but I think when we think about games and what we would want to do going forward, it's, okay, whatever that system is, how deep can we make it? The other part is the way the AI and the NPCs really react to you. It's something that I think we still have a long way to go with.
Yeah, in another interview, by the way, he spoke about the Radiant AI and having the AI react to you in these huge towns where all the people would have a knock-on effect and they'd have large-scale battles, which is very much what they're talking about for the Elder Scrolls 6 and how those systems would work.
But those are probably the main ones.
There is a very special concert airing, I guess, in 2 days from when this interview airs. That's probably got to be surreal to see a big, famous, world-class orchestra be performing something from your game.
Yeah, it's something that we've wanted to do kind of for a long time. And we have a group that pulled it off during the pandemic with the London Symphony Orchestra, which I always associate with these scores and movies that I've always loved. And seeing that and hearing it back, I find music is a very particular time travel device.
Yeah.
Where it takes you back to those moments. And Skyrim's music has always been a part of its identity. We start with music. We usually we do concept art, we do interface, we do music.
That's interesting.
That makes so
even
much
Starfield,
sense
one of the first things we did was the music. And it sets as you're drawing things.
By the way, I've already heard one of the soundtracks for the Elder Scrolls 6. We may hear it again for the anniversary, but I kind of doubt it. I don't think they'll put it out there again. But it was very sort of with the drum and the sort of imagine the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, but more of that. It was very much, you could tell the tone and the feel of the game, almost warlike, this foreboding sort of warring feeling. An incredibly good song. I only heard the one song from the Elder Scrolls 6, but it was fantastic. So I have big excitement for when that comes out. I don't think I've seen this concept art for Starfield, the settled systems.
And seeing it on the screen, you put it to the music, it gives you more of a complete feeling of this is the tone of the game. So Skyrim's music is one of the first things that we did.
Wow, I never knew that. That's a real, and I feel like a lot of other developers, that's something that comes later. Everybody's got a different process, but it totally makes sense that you're wanting to sort of, you're talking about that feel of the game and the tone of the game.
Right.
And that's where it comes from. That's really cool. Do you have a favorite Skyrim mod?
I hate picking favorites.
But he does play the mods. That's awesome, dude.
So I don't want to...
somebody's day.
Well, there's a number I like. On the PC, the UI one is really, really good.
The UI one is very good. Sky UI. Todd Howard likes Sky UI. Does he think it's gonna? Is he gonna put that in the Elder Scrolls 6 as like, oh yeah, this is actually better. We should have done it like this. I really hope that Todd Howard gets inspired by some of these amazing mods that have definitely, in many ways, made the game better. I mean, look at Skyrim Survival. Right, like that's an official Creation Club mod now. That existed years and years and years before it was on the Creation Club. With a lot of stuff that's now coming to the Creation Club, you can actually get it for free on the Nexus already. It's very much inspired content that Bethesda like. They see it and they're like, oh, that's a cool idea. We'll put it in our game. People can pay for it as well, but at least PlayStation users get it, I guess.
The one this is going to sound stupid. There's one I like where someone added fast travel markers when you bought a house. And it's something that should really take like an hour. It's one of those things you think, why don't we do that?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's so many that I like the ones that are more...
Do they not already have fast travel markers though? Am I being stupid? Do they not already have fast travel markers for the houses? That's not a mod, is it?
Systemic. Now it's going to sound like a biased pick, but the stuff we did with Creation Club and working with those creators, the survival mode, fishing. Yeah. I really love when our developers here are working with people in the community and getting it out there. So I think those have been particularly impactful in the game.
I really like that too, that Bethesda are now supporting their community and acknowledging their existence. There's been a real turnaround in the last few years regarding that. That it would be really cool if they got a percentage of the sales they made, because then they would literally, those mod creators would be rich, but instead they work on a contractual basis. Obviously they don't own the IP, so it's not my business, but it would be cool. I'd love for the mod creators to be like just rolling in cash. I mean, if I had to buy all of the mods that I play every day, they would be doing so well, you know. So donate to mod authors, guys.
You ended up hiring any of those people?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yeah, I figured
yes, a good number of them.
Like, why wouldn't you, right? Like,
look, it's something
a lot of talent out there.
There's a lot of talent out there. Something we're really passionate about. When you think about the legacy of our games, you know, one of the reasons we're sitting here 10 years later is because of our modding community.
Yeah.
Right, and what they've done with the game. So even though we did all the stuff and you kind of make it your own, you open up this menu and then there's this even larger list of things. Like, okay, how do you want to customize it? What do you want to do? And I think that's fundamental to what we want to do with games, where creators can do that. And I think us being active in trying to make it more than a hobby for them, where they can make it their career, I think is really, really good and something that we're going to continue to do.
So when you make a game this big, as big, so Skyrim, what I could find online, allegedly around 30 million copies of Skyrim, which is it's a massive number.
It's far more than that, actually.
It's far more than that. So, look,
not that that's not an enormous number. But
it's still okay. So, yeah, do you allow yourself to enjoy that at any point, where you're like, "Wow, I made a thing that's one of probably the biggest, helped make a thing that's one of the biggest video games of all time"? Like, do you allow yourself to enjoy that, or is it just sort of like too abstract to even internalize?
I can't internalize that scale, but obviously the success of the game, what it's meant to a lot of people who play games or got them through tough times. We do things with the Make-A-Wish Foundation when people want to come here and see what we do.
Yeah.
So it's not Skyrim specific. It's more, I do feel a lot of pride, and I see it in the studio when you see your work really give so many people a lot of joy, and it's not just us goofing off making fantasy worlds, right? I do think the work, you know, has importance. I think entertainment is important to people's lives, and so that gives you a lot of pride in what you've been able to do with it and what you want to do in the future.
Are there any Easter eggs hiding in Skyrim that no one has found after 10 years that you want to talk about right now?
I can't imagine that's the case.
There's got to be something somewhere, right?
You know, there's probably dangling threads of cut content. But you know what? The community has been through all of our data so many times. I cannot imagine. There's nothing to my knowledge. Let's put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, it is a very moddable, picked at.
Thank you so much for the donation, guys. And on that note of, you know, like, you guys have been with me. This game for like, 10, 11 years. This channel's been going. So thank you so much for all the support you guys are showing me. I don't think you'll ever realize how much it means to me, guys. So thank you. There's like 2,000 of you watching right now, and that's like a small theater, right? Like, I can't even comprehend how many of you are here. So thanks so much for all the support over the decade you've been watching the channel. Honestly, you've changed my life. So thank you.
Game.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. Now, all right. Is there a favorite video game child? Is there a favorite Elder Scrolls game out of all of them? Because they're all, what I love about the series personally is that they're all different. They're like albums in a sense from the same band, where there's, other than like AC/DC, where it's kind of the same album over and over, but they each have their own totally different thing. They're not just straight numbered sequels. So I'm curious if any one Elder Scrolls game.
It's a great analogy, actually. It's a little bit, actually, we've said that once or twice in the studio where we're going to do this. Like, what is that? Oh, this is our concept album. Then the band goes on tour and they drift back to playing the arena hits that you wanted. It's important to us. We've kind of avoided doing like direct sequels. Yeah. Which is why also they take so long. And that each of them does have its own identity. And there's something about all of them that we love. When someone says, it's usually the first one they play is their favorite. So like, you guys blew it after Morrowind, you simplified it. Like, and then if you played Oblivion, like, it was so much better than Skyrim.
I think it's nostalgia.
And we're okay with that. We say, like, doesn't that upset you? It's like, we made those games too. It's always the last one, right? So Skyrim, I think, particularly from a game flow perspective, a game in your hands that still feels really, really good today. It's probably my favorite as we sit here. Yeah. But there's things about, say, I think a lot of the quests in Oblivion is some of our best questing.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, he said it. He said it. This is so true. I remember me and my fiance always talk about Oblivion. Like, this is the first Elder Scrolls I played. And I always think I probably have an attachment to it, like Todd said, because of nostalgia. But the quest was so good. Like, the Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion, like the Thieves Guild, all of those quest lines and stories just really resounded with me. Compared to some of the writing for Skyrim, some of the quest lines weren't as strong. They didn't fit as well with me, so I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Even going back as far as Morrowind, I'm sure there's some real staples in that, but Oblivion written very well.
In Morrowind, I like the tone of the world where there are parts of it that are a lot stranger, where you feel a bit uncomfortable in it, and I think you can use that to your advantage. Yeah, where it's a little bit more mysterious. I love the elegance. We'll go back. I love the elegance of Arena, the very first game. If you play it, it's such a simple game. It knows exactly. It's not a simple game, but there's elegance in its design, character system, the flow of it. So I think they each have something that's great about them. For me, I dabbled.
Alex, thanks for the donation, my friend. From New Zealand, other side of the world to me. Awesome that Lord of the Rings is being made where you are. Joshua, thanks for the sub. And Tim, thanks so much for the $10, my friend. Love the emotes. Guys, I think like the Elder Scrolls Arena and some of the really old games are really cool. And if you like those, I actually interviewed myself, the original creator of the Elder Scrolls, the whole video about a new game he's making. It's very much like procedural generation and like D&D kind of multiple choice and implications. So if you're interested in that sandbox world of Daggerfall, go and check that video out. It's called The Creator of the Elder Scrolls Interview.
The touch in Morrowind, but really Oblivion was my first one, and that's my answer. Right. So I'm like feeding right into your data set on that, because the moment when you step out into the open world in Oblivion is like an all-time, like instant great gaming memory for me.
Yeah, 100%. And for the time, it's such a wow moment. Yeah. Given gaming at the time, I think if you go back and look at it, you're like, it's all right. But if you go back and play Morrowind, it can be difficult interface-wise. Some other game systems that are they're hard to wrap your hands around.
It is fair to say, I mean, I'm not going to fly 3,000 miles and not ask about Elder Scrolls 6 at least a little bit.
Sure, go ahead. Fair question. I get asked a lot. I get asked in the house.
Yeah, it is fair to say that it's going to be roughly, probably 15 years between Elder Scrolls
15
games.
Years.
Because
it will probably be like 2025. I mean, I don't know if you've seen my videos, but I've literally said this from a long time now. Same with Camelworks, Fudge Muppets, all the Elder Scrolls guys. We kind of like theorize that that's going to be sort of the rough date in the timeline that Bethesda are doing. And there's a huge gap between Elder Scrolls games. I mean, clearly Skyrim's still alive. Clearly it's going to carry on being alive for another 5 years. But my God, Tim, Josh, thank you so much you keep donating. Thank you so much, man, for the support. I appreciate that.
You're busy with another little thing called Starfield, which we'll talk about in a minute as well.
People could do the math on what our schedules look like.
So, is that a good thing, do you think, or is that not ideal? Like, sort of as far as both creatively, but also for the health and success of a franchise that keeps the lights on in this awesome studio? Well,
look, I think that's a really great question, a way of putting it. You know, for me, when I look at franchises, is it vibrant? Okay, Skyrim still is. Elder Scrolls Online is huge. It's one of the biggest online games in the world, and that's part of our company, even though our studio isn't developing it. We work with them. I think they've done an absolutely phenomenal job.
I think ESO is like top 6 games. Every year they release like a new chapter, storylines playthrough, and I play through it and I enjoy it each time. Sometimes the story and writing doesn't hold up, other times it does, but like generally like there's always really cool bits of content in there. And it's very much enjoyable from a narrative perspective of, if you can get past, obviously it's an online game, the graphics aren't as good as Skyrim, but if you can get past that, like I really enjoy the narrative experience from it, and just, I actually sit through the quests and listen because most of them are pretty damn good.
So when I look at the Elder Scrolls as a franchise, is it healthy? Is it doing well? Yes, 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 yes. Would you plan to have the kind of gap we're having between Skyrim and the follow-up? I can't say that's a good thing, right? I wish I could wave a wand and the game that we want to make and we have in our head, we're starting things on, just came out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's other things we want to do, right? Obviously, Fallout 4 was a huge success. We spent a lot of time on that. We wanted to, go into online with Fallout 76. We felt doing something like Starfield, something we wanted to do something else for a long time and play in a new universe. Kind of like, well, if not now, I'm going back in time. We started right after Fallout 4, so 2015, end of it. If not now, when? And I felt like the when, if we didn't do it then, the when could be never. And so we felt pretty good with where Elder Scrolls was as a franchise, particularly with Elder Scrolls Online. Hey, now's the time we can do Starfield. That being said, everything takes longer.
It gives you an idea of how long Starfield has been in the works and how long they've been thinking about the sci-fi game. In fact, they had one that was cancelled in the past a very long time ago. It would have been completely different, but like they've always wanted to do a sci-fi game, Bethesda. So it's interesting that they talk about that. Will you be playing some Skyrim after this? Not today, but I will have a video up for you guys after this live stream. It's about a Skyrim tabletop game. I interviewed the creators today and we did like a whole playthrough that you guys can watch, and I'll link the video down in the description as soon as it's live. But I've literally been up for over 12 hours just purely working, and G Fuel has been keeping me alive. 30% off in the description with code ESO if you want to try some. They've even got Bethesda themed Doom flavored energy drink, which is awesome. It's sugar free too. Phil, thank you so much for the $10 donation, and Wade as well. Really enjoy the content. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you.
Than we would like as well, but we want to make sure we get it right. And hopefully Elder Scrolls 6, you don't want to say like, hey, that's worth that kind of weight, but that it does stand up to the series as it has been in a really big, impactful way for when it comes out. It
would seem like just working on one Elder Scrolls game after the next might get creatively exhausting. And then you guys got the Fallout IP and were able to alternate. And it would seem like that would be creatively healthy for the team for both games,
right,
to go back and forth. And now with what will be such a big gap between Elder Scrolls 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 is, will there be kind of a little extra creative rejuvenation there when you guys really dive fully back in?
Well, our games take so long, and we do have Fallout as well, so that does keep the creative juices flowing. To your point, though, even for us, it had been so long. And we are doing some work that you do feel, it feels like there's an extra spark, that like we miss it as well. And the things we want to do with it feel very, very fresh. But I could say that about Starfield was all new.
Right.
But it was so new that you had no basis. You're kind of starting from scratch. And that's also had its own challenges. You know, what does a spaceship look like?
Just to say, on that note, New World, Amazon's new MMO game, they also started from scratch, and the world building and narrative, there was pretty much no real story. And in that sense, like, you never really cared about any of the NPCs you met or anything going on in the world, and it just felt very lifeless in that sense. Even though I played a lot of the game, I think I've invested like 50 hours or so into it. But you know, I never cared about any of the people I met or the world, and I tried my best to read all the lore. So the fact Todd Howard says, yeah, it's difficult to start from scratch, and already I've read into all the details in the Starfield trailer, and I can see the world building and storytelling is very well done, seemingly. So I really hope that they've put in the time there, and knowing Bethesda, they will have, you know, because that's so important. People always underestimate that.
We spent forever on that till we felt we really got it, where, hey, this feels unique, this feels like this game. When you go into a franchise, a sequel, so to say, you have that basis of what you've done before, how people reacted to it, and then, but you still, for us, I like to, you know, wipe the slate clean and say, okay, what does it mean to be a fantasy role-playing game now? The kind of games we want to do, we're just step into a virtual world. What does that mean? Don't think about making a sequel.
Right.
Start fresh.
That's why they all feel
and that's a
different,
great kind of exercise for
that.
all of us. Really, really energizing.
Well, I guess what about Fallout while we're talking about it? Because that almost feels like, you know, you've got Starfield, you have a release date that's in, I'm going to call it pencil on the calendar. You've penciled it right now. I don't think no game release dates get written in ink anymore until like
Yeah, we wrote it pretty hard in that trailer. So.
Well, I want to ask you about that in a minute, but
the way he said I wrote it pretty hard in the trailer is basically saying that's set in stone, and I think it is. I actually wouldn't have been surprised if Starfield was coming out this year, but given all the circumstances and all the delays, got moved back a year. And you know, I'm thankful when Bethesda are taking their times with these franchises, because we've seen what happens when they don't, and you know, when every company in the gaming industry doesn't. And I'm always happy to wait, you know, for a good game.
That felt like some ink, but yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Sure.
But
damn, he's confident.
But then you've seemingly publicly committed to Elder Scrolls 6 being the thing after Starfield. Sure. So
he's talking about like it
Fallout
as well.
Just go to the back of the line as far as main line? You know, yes, there's 76, but as far as the mainline Fallouts,
right.
Is that going to the back of the line, or is that a thing where you've now got an entire Xbox family at your back and people like In Exile and Obsidian? And is there a scenario where you hand Fallout off?
Oh, Fallout New Vegas too, you mean? Look at his face.
I don't see, look, Fallout's really part of our DNA here.
Yeah.
We've worked with other people from time to time. I can't say what's going to happen. You know, we have
we work for other people. Yeah, Obsidian, man. Say their name. They did a great job on Fallout New Vegas. The fans like it.
A one-pager on Fallout 5, what we want to do. Again, if I could wave my hand and say, have right. that out. You know, I'd like to find a way to accelerate what we do. But I can't really say today or commit to anything what's going to happen when, other than, hey, our cadence is Starfield and then Elder Scrolls 6.
Because you guys have always been, BGS is, your team is it one team, or is there more than one, like,
I like to view it as one big team, and then we have groups that focus on one game. So you could look at the Fallout 76 team, mostly based in Austin right now, and that's a full team that you would put on a game, but they work on other things. And a lot of people here in Rockville worked on 76 and Montreal and Dallas as well. And so we've always sort of done it that way so that we can move people between projects, and everybody knows they're gonna work on Elder Scrolls 6 in some fashion. And I think that's really, really good for the health of the studio and the games themselves. We're able to bring expertise onto it at the right times, not burn people out, such.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say then that Todd Howard's team that is responsible for Elder Scrolls, Mainline, Fallout, and Starfield works on mostly like one game at a time?
We're focused on one at a time.
Yeah.
We tend to, you know, pre-production for me, I mean, I like it to be like 2 years. So you might have a small group on it and do something and then say, let's pause, let's come back. I think that makes a difference what we're doing. When we're really going full bore, where most of the studio is on something, that can be anywhere from 12 months to 24 months. But it's true the way you said it, that we're going to focus on that. There's more overlap, I think, than do a game, stop, do a game.
Yeah, that's just not what the timeline looks like in video game development. There's tons of overlap on all these, you know, like you'll start pre-production for the Elder Scrolls 6 like way back, you know, before they've even released Starfield. Like right now, they'll be like into production of the Elder Scrolls 6. It's just how the video game timeline works, especially like if pre-production is 2 years, you know, you've got to that gives you an idea, right?
So Starfield is written in ink for November 11th, 2022, per your words, which seemingly would indicate that it's in pretty good shape as far as...
We have our challenges. I can't sit here and say, you know, it's a very, very ambitious game.
Yeah.
Look, we were, you know, confident about the date when we put that out there. But our main focus is just making the best game that we possibly can. And it's a very, very ambitious game. And we've been through this a number of times. So
your team's last big game, because again, 76 was Austin.
Well, it was us as well. So, but yeah.
But
yeah, no, that's interesting. That big last game was Fallout 4, right?
I know where you're headed.
But yeah, you know, we're on a new console generation, and like the tech gap that you talked about, like going from Morrowind to Oblivion, we're probably going to be seeing that really again with Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, right? Compared to Skyrim.
It's been a huge jump. It's probably our biggest ever. I could say Morrowind to Oblivion. That had been our biggest. This now feels bigger to us. And we felt it was time, and we could really take advantage of the new systems, you know, redoing the render and the basic underlying guts of the engine itself.
Yeah.
And that, you know, the results on the screen we're very, very happy with. It's taking us longer, as always, than we would like, particularly during the
Starfield trailer, by the way. All of this in-game footage, in-game lighting, everything is what we've been told. And yeah, it looks really nice.
Pandemic to put those parts together, and whenever you do an engine overhaul, we're still making data, right? And so we're still doing a lot of art and design and levels and spaces and things like that. And then the engine is changing, and figuring out when those sync up is one of the great challenges that all game developers deal with. So we're kind of in the midst of that. We had been, and we're coming through it.
So you kind of have, you know, the new tech also opens up some new options. And I mean, it's been really cool to see these modern consoles really embrace a lot more PC-like choice in terms of give me, you know, 4K ray traced, dial up everything, but 30 frames per second, or, you know, maybe dial down my effects and I want that 60 frames per second.
I mean, these days, gamers are just like, everything 60 FPS or it's unplayable. It's unplayable. So these days, everything is literally 60 FPS, like pretty much like kind of, I think some games have an option for 30 FPS with better graphics, but like it's quite rare. Like everyone's just like 60 FPS.
What is how do you like to play your games? Would you prefer to go like Starfield, just crank visual fidelity as high as it can go to fully immerse yourself in that world, and at the trade-off of, you know, some frame rate, or are you more of like a frame rate guy and go ahead and, you know, I'll take a little step down on the visuals?
It depends on the game. I think for our games, I'm more of a 30 frames a second fidelity person.
I agree.
If I'm playing like a 4...
To me, FPS isn't that important. If the game looks amazing, it's like all cinematography is like 25 FPS, you know? That's how we've recorded things for many years. You can still make it look good. It's like Dark Souls and things like that, or FPS games. 60 FPS, 100%. League of Legends can't play a competitive game without 60 FPS. But these kind of cinematic games, 30%, 30 FPS just works.
sports or
Just
something,
works.
or a
Halo.
sports game where
Yeah.
I can really, I think it matters for what I'm experiencing. I prefer 60. But for our style game, I honestly feel 30 feels great, and I'd rather have all the little bits and shiny pixels and be able to pick up the cups and, you know. I like that level of immersion. But that doesn't mean that, you know, that's for everybody.
Right. I'm totally with you for whatever it's worth. Yeah. I want to soak myself in that universe that you created. That's and it's nice to have that choice, because like with Oblivion, we didn't, you know, in Skyrim there wasn't that choice at the time. It was, well, it's going to be 720p and we'll get it as close to 30 as often as we can.
And frankly, even resolution, you know, I think most people can't tell, you know, does it have to be true 4K? It's like, okay, what's the overall image quality? What does it look like when you sit in front of your PC or on your sofa? And just how immersive is it? And so that's usually, so even on resolution, we'll, you know, there are various systems we have, and most games have, for, hey, if the action's getting too heavy, it can dynamically lower it. And you generally can't tell unless Digital Foundry tells you so. They do a great job.
They do a great job, yes.
And so we're generally like, okay, if the player really can't tell, if this isn't affecting their experience in that way, it's a good trade-off.
So let me circle back now to this 11-11-22 thing.
Sure. Which I'm regretting.
You're really like calling your shit. It's like a Ruthian, like.
No, I was just saying, we put it in a trailer, like it's on the screen. Wasn't pencil, but.
Well,
you know.
What is your deal with 11-11? Is that like is 11 a lucky number for you? Just, I mean, I'm being serious. Is it like your lucky number? Because you seem
a little bit.
Yeah, and that's cool.
I like it visually. Well, Skyrim, I was 11-11-11. If you were here in the company, there were a lot of release dates being bandied around, and I was unmovable. I was like, this is the perfect date. Come on. And then as it came around to Starfield, we lined things up and adding buffer where things, it kind of landed, you know, around there. I was like, hey, this would feel really, really good.
Yeah.
There's a weird wrinkle in it.
Okay.
Which is in Europe versus North America, they flip the days.
That's true.
So there's always this, when you're doing advertising stuff, if the day and the month are the same, you don't have to change it, which is this great added benefit. I thought it looked really cool in the trailer too. So
you feel good about it then? You're
I don't know if I ever feel good.
Prioritizes like the date looking good over like what actually makes sense. It's hilarious.
I'm usually confident, you know, this is how things line up, but we want to do the best job we can, and there's still so much to do.
Yeah.
I feel good about the game.
Yeah.
And we're confident about the date, but
is Starfield like more or less done, and you're just polishing the hell out of it?
Oh man, come on! We know it's like pretty much done. There'll be like bug fixing, polishing. There may be a few features they add. Back when they released Skyrim, Todd Howard did this presentation called Game Jam. It's basically when all the developers jumped in and they made something in like 2 weeks that they didn't have time to put in the actual game. One of the things that was added was spears, for example. They had snowing and seasonal changes, and there was loads of other stuff. I already did a video about this, but I'm just saying, like, they'll whack some of that stuff in if they have time, like some of those cool little interesting things. But like, we're probably at a point of completion. Let's see what he says.
To get ready for 11-11, or
no, we're at a state where we can play the whole game.
Yeah.
But again, there's so much to do. It's a very very ambitious game, and we're not going to let off the gas there. And given how the world's gone, it's hard to project exactly what's going to happen when. And we honestly just, we do our best.
Yeah.
And it's been, look, in the grand scheme of the world, we have it great. But creatively getting together and making those creative decisions and looking at a game together has definitely been challenging for all game developers during this time. And you see that. We're a little bit fortunate that, you know, the leads on the project and a lot of our staff have worked together for so long.
Yeah, you're right. He keeps on asking like the same question. He seems to be like obsessed about like the whole thing about them having an actual date like a year in advance. And obviously I don't blame him, because the last years in the gaming industry, what game hasn't been delayed at least twice? Elden Ring was even delayed, you know? And I think I'd rather a game always be delayed than released unfinished. And I kind of feel like with Bethesda and how Todd Howard works, this was quite an early him announcing the release date, usually he would say at E3, okay, it's coming out in November, you know, and E3 would be like halfway through next year, and then we'd see some gameplay. But this is very early, and all we've had to go on is concept art, and I think we won't see any gameplay from Starfield beyond this trailer until E3 2022. I guarantee that.
That our ability to do that, whether we're sitting at home, and we have other studios. We'd always kind of done remote work where we're talking to somebody in Montreal or Texas. And so those things have worked out really, really, really well for us. For us, it's really, is the work show on the screen? And it really, really is. So
the band has been together for a while, right? To come back to that. Yeah. So
we have that resilience in dealing with unknowns. We've dealt with it really on every game.
How has, let's tie it together here. Would you say has Skyrim influenced Starfield at all? I know you did a game in between that with Fallout 4, but you know, you're creating a new thing.
It's kind of weird how he just doesn't acknowledge Fallout 76 like as like a game they've done. It's kind of weird, right? Like, why do you think that is? Todd Howard was like even corrected him at one point, saying, "No, we worked on that. Like that was us too." But he just keeps like kind of ignoring they've done that.
With Starfield, is there a Skyrim or general Elder Scrolls influence in it?
I think it's part of our DNA, right? So those things that we like, being able to touch the world, and you know, what are you looting from people, and how do the factions? So I think there is more Skyrim in terms of game structure in Starfield. Now that you mention it, the way the factions work, the skill system is really like the skill system in Starfield.
Oh, so okay, this is already really interesting, right? So we know a little bit about factions. I did a video about some that have been revealed so far, and it's interesting as well that you said the skill system is similar. So I assume that all the skills and weapon types you like in Fallout 4 and also Skyrim, we're going to level them up by using them and interacting with them, which I love. I love that. You know, it's very intuitive.
Starfield, and it borrows a bit from things we've done in Fallout and Elder Scrolls. So I think this is part of our DNA. You're going to see those hallmarks in kind of anything we do that is, as you say, kind of a mainline Bethesda game.
I think some people want to hear that Starfield is Skyrim in space, and other people, that's the last thing they want to hear, and they want it to be something completely new. How would
quick asking in the chat? Do you guys prefer post-apocalyptic like Fallout, fantasy, high fantasy like Skyrim, or sci-fi, which is Starfield? Personally, I've always been like a big fantasy fan with dragons, magic, and sword fighting. That's like where I'm at. I love the other types of games, and I'll really enjoy Starfield, but like that's always been like my core enjoyment. And I think probably, I don't know what other people feel like.
I say is Skyrim in space. I say in all the best ways.
In all the best ways. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of curious
a sword in space.
How Indiana Jones fits into everything.
Sure.
Too.
Oh, Indiana Jones is the other game that Todd Howard is working on. The chat is lit up with everyone saying fantasy. Is this just because my channel is mainly Skyrim? I do a lot of Fallout as well. See some Fallouts in the chat and like post-apocalyptic. Okay, thanks I Am Go for the $10 donation. To be honest, if I were him, I'd avoid talking about it as well. I feel purely because the rough launch, he thinks he might have something to do with come off wrong. Plus 76 isn't a main stream game to me either. Okay, I see what you're saying. Like, I mean, Todd Howard has in the past said in interviews he's let the fans down with Fallout 76, and he's even apologized for that, which I always appreciated. It wasn't my type of game. I felt like it didn't feel like it was made with the same love and joy that the other Bethesda games were made with, and it felt a little bit soulless. I know it's been updated and changed since. I've not come back to it, but maybe I should at some point.
So you've heard, anybody that may not be familiar, you are announced as being the executive producer of Machine Games in the Bethesda family. Machine Games is Indiana Jones game. So like, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I can give you sort of the background of it. First, when I executive produce things, that's a game that I'm kind of checking in on, right? It's not a daily thing. It might be once a week. It might be once a month, depending on the state of the game.
I just imagine him going in there with a whip and be like, whoosh, and then just being like, Give me the updates. What's happened? Why isn't it more like Skyrim?
And then, so there's a number of things I kind of executive produce. And then if I'm directing a game, that's more of a daily activity.
Right.
The Indiana Jones game, that I am like, I love Indiana Jones. People who know me, like, I'm obsessed with Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best thing ever put to film, no debate. And for a long time, I had met some people at Lucas way back in the day and said, oh, I have this Indiana Jones game in my head. And I got chatting with them, and they're like, that's awesome. You should come out.
Faithful Trash, thank you so much for the $50 donation, dude. Really appreciate the support there. Thanks. Thank you so much, dude.
And pitch it. So I went out to Lucasfilm, and I pitched this game, and we almost made it. This was like 10, 12 years ago.
Okay. And
it kind of, obviously
Just
we were doing other
Skyrim.
things. Like we didn't really necessarily have the bandwidth. Like, hey, Todd, what team? Like, I'll figure it out. Just, and, you know, hey, fast forward to kind of current day, and now they're part of Disney, and they're starting to license. I got in a conversation with somebody there that I know, John Drake, who was at Sony, loved John. And we got to chatting with, and I said, oh, I have this Indiana Jones.
Johnny works at Sony. Well, why can't John sort out the PlayStation 4 players, PlayStation 5 players, whatever we're on, with third-party mods and 3D assets, so people can get all the Xbox mods on the PlayStation, right? Come on, John, sort it out.
This game. And he was like, tell me more. I'm like, is this possible? And so internally, you know, really love the work Machine Games does. Everybody knows each other really, really well. And I mentioned to them, like, hey, is this something that might interest you? There might be a possibility here.
They worked on Riddick. They've done licensed things very well
Riddick,
before.
I think the Riddick on the original Xbox is unbelievable. It's like, you look at the tech level of that game at the time before Doom, which is also one, like, it's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible. And the work they've done on Wolfenstein and scenes and characters, I just think they're incredible developers. And so I brought up to them, like, hey, something that might interest you. And they said, absolutely. And they're good at the Nazi stuff, right? So they're making the game. I'm involved creatively. Like, hey, what's the game going to be? I have this original story, and we've worked on it sort of together. So I spent a little bit of time on it. They're running with it. They're doing an amazing job. And so I'm just happy to lend a hand and be involved.
Something else that's happened since you and I last chatted. You interviewed, or you were in a little conversation with Elon Musk at E3 in 2019, the last E3.
He also dropped in that Todd Howard owns a Tesla, and Elon Musk said he played Fallout 3, which is pretty cool.
3 that we had, the E3 to end all E3s as it turned out.
I hope not. I hope it comes back.
I am with you. Yeah, right. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back in 2022. I'm just kind of curious how that came about. Like, what was because and also what was that experience like for you? I know you're a Tesla customer yourself.
Sure. As
am I, but like, how do you end up on a stage in a conversation with Elon Musk?
Yeah, we know each other a little bit and had traded messages. You know, he likes video games. He loves Fallout. I like space.
Fallout Shelter is you can play it in your Tesla.
Right. I like space. I like cars. And so we would talk about those things. And I'd been out to SpaceX. And it was something that Jeff Keighley, who runs that stage show there, tries to really put together interesting groups. And it was something we had tried to do, didn't work out timing-wise, actually, in some previous E3s. And he was available and wanted to do it. And, you know, it was very, really kind of cool moment for all of us.
You going to sneak any SpaceX Easter eggs into Starfield?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, to wrap this up, just kind of fun.
Oh, man. You like more steampunk sort of fantasy. Yeah, no, that's really cool as well. Steampunk is awesome, dude. Like, I'd love a steampunk game, but I don't even think that exists.
Final thoughts, Skyrim's 10th anniversary, like, what does that mean to you when you stop and think about the fact that this is being celebrated and it's still a vibrant thing and that people still love it and play it 10 years on?
You know, it's surreal. We have a lot of pride. We feel very, like I said, very, very blessed to be in this position. Sort of think about how many games have been able to do that or have like a 10th anniversary even edition. And I wouldn't know the list, but I was sort of, well, I can't think of many.
I don't think I mean, how many games can you guys name that are like still being played as much today as they were 10 years ago? I mean, League of Legends, for one, it's just had the Arcane anime come out that's like ridiculously successful. The community is hella toxic though. But there's a lot of games like Fallout, obviously, yeah. BioShock, Dark Souls. There's a lot of Dishonored is steampunk. Yeah, you're right. I don't know how I overlooked that. Hey Danny, should I buy Skyrim Anniversary Edition? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at the end, right? And
so, it's really a testament to, I think, our fans. Really, they're the ones who've kept it alive, who keep the memes going on the internet and talking about and putting videos up, making.
He knows the memes. He listens, guys. He's also Todd Howard's doing a Reddit Ask Me Anything, I think tonight or tomorrow, by the way. So check that out.
Mods, sharing it, and it's really, even though it's not a multiplayer game, there's this social element to it that is so strong that we're just so overjoyed to kind of be a part of that and have it splash on us. So.
Social elements and multiplayer have kind of creeped in and infused into almost everything now? Is it, are you still feel really, really strongly about the importance of a quality single player experience like Starfield?
So this is interesting, right? So obviously they had that, some mod creators made a mod to make Skyrim multiplayer, and I did play this, and I jumped in with some friends, and I immediately realized, as someone who has always wanted to play Skyrim with my friends, that Skyrim clearly was never designed with co-op in mind, and the whole world exists around you as the hero character, right? And it just didn't work as a multiplayer game, I must say. Fallout 76, on the other hand, that's been designed with multiplayer in mind, but not gonna lie, I mean, the game's changed massively apparently since launch, since when I played it, but just purely bugs aside and design issues aside, like, I feel like 76 is a multiplayer game. Explore it with my friends. I had fun because I was playing with my friends, but I think that's about it. And I think you can kind of boil that to having fun with playing any game with your friends, not necessarily just a Fallout game or a Skyrim game. Battling dragons together or something. I don't know. Like, for example, Bannerlord multiplayer, I feel like going to war with your friends could be a bit more exciting. Having that key sort of narrative goal that's quite simple, like a FPS game. I do have a Skyrim co-op tabletop game for you, though, in a minute. I'll show you.
Very much, yes.
Your games will still stay as solo experiences?
Absolutely. I think that's where, even in 76, once we, added the Wastelanders and that kind of questing stuff, the amount of people that want to play it as a solo experience is very, very strong. It's part of who we are. It's what we love about games. That being said...
So he basically said, after they added NPCs to the game, it's better. I would agree. I've not even played the Wastelanders update yet, but like I'd 100% agree that after they'd add NPCs, it's better. I said this in my review. Bethesda now don't send me anything. They dislike me. But I literally said, like, I felt like the world of Fallout 76 initially was soulless. You were just following videotapes around. I didn't feel like the environment had been made with that love. And you didn't, like, all the NPCs were dead, so there was no one to care about. It's like, why do I bother, Whereas all their other single-player games have this real narrative, breathing world that I feel like I can really get into and enjoy. Which is why I love all their other games,
There are various ways that you can talk about adding social elements to a game that I don't think take away from that.
Yeah.
And we've dabbled with some of that and not put it out, or things on paper, or things that we'd like to try in our games. So I don't want to rule that out. 76 has really ended up being a great experience for us and a great learning one. But our passion is behind who are you going to be? This world is for you. Go make it your own.
Well, Todd Howard, happy 10th anniversary.
It's sad though, isn't it, that obviously with Fallout 76 didn't go well enough that Todd Howard literally just said, well, yeah, moving forward, we're going to focus on single player games because that's what does well and that's what we're good at. And like you said with the Wastelanders DLC, it brought back loads of fans and it was better because that's what we're good at doing, making single player games and those experiences. And he's 100% right, and he's like, we're going to stick to what we're good at. There might be a few multiplayer elements we can add, but like it's like a second-hand thing. That's really interesting.
Thank you.
To the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the game that surrounds us here at Bethesda. You can play it in the anniversary edition.
He's right.
On pretty much all platforms, I think. Or at least the next generation platforms have a few extra.
I believe it's on everything.
Bells and whistles. Yeah, it's on your refrigerator. It's on your toaster. It's
with everywhere. Alexa, it is.
Yeah, it's everywhere you want to play it. Todd Howard, thank you so much.
Thanks. Great to see you again.
Great to see you. And for more from the best, brightest, and most interesting minds in the games.
That was a really good interview by Ryan from IGN. He does a good job each time. Obviously, he was very fixated on the date. I wish he kind of tried to needle a bit more questions into Todd. But I have interviewed big personalities like this before, and it's kind of like you just can't get away with asking this question because, you know, they're used to it, and they're just going to say no and shut you down. Sometimes when you're out in the wild with them, you can, not on camera, you can get some notes out of them, but, you know, it was a very good interview. I will say, guys, I have linked down below. It will be out in, if you're watching this later, now. If you're watching it live in about half an hour. The tabletop version of Skyrim. I got to play it early with the creator, Modifius. It was really, really cool. I recommend you check that out. We kind of did like a whole walkthrough of the game. And you can also play it either solo on your own or with a group of friends. And I personally really enjoyed it. He translated like Skyrim really well to the tabletop. But now on to the next subject. Should you buy Skyrim Anniversary Edition? So it's an interesting question. Obviously, we've got the price now. I think it's like, what was it, like $30 or so for, I posted it on my community page. Let me just check before I ramble. Yes, so okay. Bethesda just confirmed the price for Skyrim Anniversary Edition. Will you buy it? Question mark. Skyrim Anniversary Edition with an update for Skyrim Special Edition, which, by the way, will break any mods currently that you have that use SKSE or Skyrim Script Extender. So disable updates right now in your Steam library if you don't want those SKSE mods to break. But it will be a buyable update for Skyrim Special Edition, and it's going to be $50 or $50 USD at launch as an upgrade. If you already own Skyrim Special Edition, though, it's going to be $20, which is a lot more reasonable. Now, obviously, I've already made that video of all the content from the Creation Club that's included in it, as well as all the old creations, of which I've already brought all of them anyway to review for you guys. So I don't get any value there. I just get the new Creation Club content in this sort of $20 package for me. I'm obviously going to buy it to review for you guys. I don't know if I'll do a live stream yet or if I'll review each one individually. Let me know in the chat what you guys want to see. And also, if you have the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox One Series X or S, it's going to have a next generation upgrade for the game. Now, I don't know when that's coming out or what that looks like. We haven't necessarily seen any gameplay of that yet. And I don't know if it's a later edition, but I assume it comes at launch, right? Have we seen any gameplay? I don't think we have. And to be honest, I play my game modded, so I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference, really. But I saw on my voting, I asked, are you going to buy this at this price? There was 54,000 people that voted on yes or no. 37% said yes, 63% said no. Now, I was quite surprised how many people said no. And I guess you are just kind of buying the Creation Club content and then replaying the game as vanilla Skyrim. A lot of the Creation Club content does exist for free on the Nexus. There is some cool stuff out there, like especially the quest mods, which I don't know are voice acted or not yet. I really hope they are voice acted quest mods. And I have done, if I go to my channel, a video on this DLC, and I spoke about everything that's here. The DLC reveal just here is the video, and we spoke about basically everything that existed in the Creation Club content that's coming. One thing I was quite disappointed about is like this gladiator character right here. She's actually I mean, there's not going to be an arena in it. She's just part of a quest, but I think this helmet's really cool and the armor's really cool. I think the most exciting thing to me is really the quest mods, like the Mythic Dawn quest line and also the Morrowind quest line. You can go back to the Aelid ruins, battle this enemy. I really hope it's voice acted. I don't know if it will be though. So we'll see, you know. But it surprised me how many people won't buy it. I guess like maybe when I make some videos about it, people might be excited. I'm interested to see if it's worth buying or not. Oh, I use light mode on YouTube. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just, you know, some of it's dark mode on my phone. I just haven't changed it. Don't get triggered, guys. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. All right. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll link the Skyrim tabletop game in the description. It will be out in like 10 minutes. I just need to make it public, okay? So stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching this live stream. It was awesome to have you guys along and sort of react with you to this interview. I think we learned quite a lot, and I'm really glad to see how I feel like Todd Howard was being very transparent, and I feel like Bethesda has been more transparent over these past year, especially after Fallout 76 with communicating things. And I think that's awesome, man. Moving forward, I hope they do that more often. So guys, I'll see you in the next stream. Have a lovely evening and fare thee well. Goodbye. I will be live streaming Skyrim Anniversary Edition at launch. Yes, for sure, guys. And thanks for all the support, guys. It means the world to me. Like, you know, 11 years now we've been doing this, and you guys have been here every step of the way. So thank you.